This is going to be episode 3 of Flyside Chats, and today I'm going to be talking with Jason Klass, one of my oldest Tenkara friends. I'm not sure when we first met online, over 10 years ago now, probably. Got to fish with you once in Colorado, talked with you many times. So, anyway, I'm going to let Jason introduce himself, and then we'll get started.
Well, uh, my blog is tenkaratalk.com, and I've been writing that since 2009. I mean, I've done 500 articles, I think, and videos to it, but I was one of the early adopters of Tenkara, and Anthony's been a great friend of mine for a long time, and wish I could have fished with him a little bit more. But yeah, so
So, yeah, Jason is I think we probably met through the blogging. I had my casting around blog, and I think that's probably where we first met up. I
yep.
commented on some fly that he posted. It was like I don't know if you remember. It was a trico cluster or something like that.
Oh yeah, the traffic jam.
Yeah, yeah. So that was pretty unique fly. So anyway, the premise of these conversations is just to kind of reconnect with some folks that I haven't seen and haven't talked to, and reconnect with the idea of fishing
A little
again.
bit depressing, but at the same time, uh, it gives us other opportunities, to explore. I don't know, new fly tying techniques and that kind of stuff. There's such a wealth of information on the internet right now that even if you're barricaded in your house, you can learn so much.
Yeah. So what looking forward to the new year? Do you have any new places you want to get to, or any new flies or techniques that you were delving into over the last year that you want to try out this year?
Uh, Not so much. I mean, I've pretty much narrowed down my selection to what works for me, and so I really don't see a need to change that up. Um, you know, I'll make a baseball analogy. If your hitter is working well, you don't change his swing, right? Uh, so not really. One thing I may want to try is jig hooks. I've never used.
Oh, really?
No, I've never tied a jig fly. So I might want to experiment with that a little bit. But I was thinking today about well, what if you explore new waters on your home waters, on your familiar waters? So for example, I just moved to Golden, Colorado, and I can literally walk to the creek right now and go trout fishing, but I haven't explored the entire stream.
Yeah.
There are new places I could go,
Yeah.
and that I haven't been. So maybe some people could, I don't know, do an Indiana Jones on their familiar waters. But
Yeah, that's an interesting idea, because that's what the last couple of years. I don't know if you can see this water kind of behind me here. This slow kind of dead water. That kind of water, like what we talk about, like exploring different areas of the places that you fish. This is the kind of stuff with Tenkara gear that I would just pass up, absolutely pass it up. Just hated it, didn't know how to fish it, didn't mess with it. But the last couple years, I'm using rod and reel a lot more and fishing this kind of water. So it's opened up some streams that I fish, doubled, tripled the amount of water that I have fun fishing now. So it kind of goes with what you're saying. You can sometimes a new technique or something will open up different kinds of water to you. And this in this case, the water over here that you see, where you see the rocks, where it's like 8 inches deep, something like that. That's where I was in this particular place. That's where I was catching all the fish in that super
okay,
shallow water. So for that stuff, Tenkara gear kind of sucks, because the wading is so tricky, and you really got to have longer casts,
yeah.
to approach the fish.
Well, yeah, you can't wade in there, and you're going to
Uh,
spook all the fish, and
yeah. So that kind of opened up a lot of water, and then it opened a whole can of worms with different rigging, and how to fish it, like different, stuff that I hadn't messed with in 10 years, probably looking at leader designs and all that kind of stuff again. And it's kind of fun. Like, I'm not a gearhead in the sense that, like, when I started fly fishing, I didn't have a lot of money to buy a bunch of gear, but I always would make my own leaders and tie flies, stuff like that. It's pretty economical. You can experiment that way and not break the bank,
Yeah.
So I'm kind of having fun getting back into that.
Well, it's part of the craft. I mean, our craft is not just buying flies and buying gear and all that stuff. Part of our craft is, it's multifaceted, right? So it's tying flies, tying leaders, trying to make our own gear, as much as we can. Our sport is omni-channel.
Yeah.
I love that.
And it was interesting what you said about the craft of it, because I don't like to think of it as a sport. It's not like sport in the sense of like football or something. You know what I mean? But I like the way you said that, how it's kind of a craft, and you can approach it like that, where you investigate the different parts of it, and how they work together, rather than just pulling stuff off of a shelf and going and doing it. It's kind of a neat approach.
Yeah. Well, it's I've been doing this for 30 years, over 30 years. And one thing I've learned is that it's exactly what you said. You do what you are attracted to, and then you don't do what you're not attracted to. Right? With fly fishing, I feel like, I never want to catch a fish that I didn't catch on my own. So from the vise to the table to the gear bag to the car to the stream. And so that's my path. Just that's the way I feel. And I've been on the river when I wasn't catching fish, and someone offered me a fly, and I said no. Like, I'd rather not catch fish than catch fish on a fly that I didn't tie.
That's interesting. Yeah,
it's my mantra.
Yeah, I'm not quite as stubborn as that. I mean, I don't think I bought a fly for years, but I definitely relate. Like, what I kind of like to do is I never went out with a guide. So the last couple of years I went out with guides a couple times, and it was pretty eye-opening. I learned so much. But what I really like to get from, like, reading literature or going out with a guide is not an off-the-shelf system, but like kind of like what I talked about with Rob. I want to figure out what questions they're asking, and see how they're answering them. Because then if you understand what questions or what problems they're solving, then you can solve them in your own ways. You can put your own spin on it. Even though you've had that assistance, you can still kind of attack it in your own way.
No, I agree. And I remember one time I was down in Mexico, and I tied up all these bonefish flies, for the flats and everything, and I was down there, and I thought, you just cast it out there. I was, I'm a pretty good caster. I can cast 100 feet if you want me to. And, I was casting all this time, and the guys are like, no. They're like, no, you've got to pinpoint it and get it in there. And then when the bonefish start following your fly, you strip long, strip slowly. And then when they start chasing it, then you strip fast, like short strips like that. Sure enough, it worked. And I caught tons of bonefish. Well, you turned me on to that underwater trout series.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I've been watching that.
Yeah, I don't remember what the guy's name is. I think if you search for like underwater world of trout, they'll come up on YouTube.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. And yeah, so I tried watching a bunch of those videos, and they're really good. I mean,
I think
the thing where do you remember the thing where I think you and I were talking about it, where the current was going one way on the top and the opposite way.
Yeah, going totally the opposite way. Right. Yeah. And then the thing that struck me about those videos was the views underwater looking up at the angler, and the myth of,
Oh, well, that was a different video.
yeah, it's in the same series, right? Yeah.
Same series. Yeah.
Yeah, so he shows how, like, everyone talks about how you're invisible if you're out of this cone of the trout vision, but in reality you're not. You're just squished down. You know.
Right.
So he showed if you're wearing a bright. It changed my mind on what to wear when I was fishing. He showed someone wearing a white shirt, even though they were technically out of that cone of vision, you could still see this kind of white disc moving all over the place, like as obvious as could be. You know. So
Yeah, but Anthony, the thing is it color or movement?
well, but the color I mean, with the bright color though, you see the movement plain as day, you know. So it kind of changed. It changed the way I thought about that for sure, you know.
Yeah.
And I've had
But
that.
I mean, look at Tanuki. You know, he wears orange all the time.
Yeah.
And that is least common color in nature. You know, but he still catches fish.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, gonna catch fish. I think it depends on the conditions, and there's always going to be places where there's a lot of things that don't matter until they do matter, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, and then when you get to those really tough conditions and all the little pieces that add up to the whole, you know, like
Yeah.
when you're fishing the real still water, and all of a sudden every cast makes a huge difference. Every step you take, you know, all those little things. Where if you're fishing the Roaring River out in Colorado and it's tumbling down that mountain, you can walk along kind of like a water buffalo. It doesn't make a huge difference, you know.
Well, on the San Juan, you can like trudge your way through the, you know, through the silt and everything, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, because they're just used
And
to seeing the anglers, I guess, you know. But so, so what's the? You mentioned that you're near a creek. What do you have near you there?
well, I've got Clear Creek. I've got the St. Vrain, John Garrick's home stream. It's my home stream too, I guess now. But yeah, so, but you know, I felt you were talking about new water earlier, and I fell into this trap where it was like you find new water and you like it, you just keep going back to the same spot over and over and over
Yeah,
again, and you know, you don't research and you don't do new stuff. And Carell used to push me to try to go to new spots. Well, now he's gone, he's in the UK. So, but I'm not a navigator. I just want to go fish. You
yeah.
know, I don't care about a map and compass.
I'm kind of like you. I'll get stuck in a rut like that, and
Yeah, it's
the
like
time is precious, you know. Like, so if I'm going to drive a couple hours, it's hard for me to think like I'm going to drive 2.5, 3 hours and then drive around looking for somewhere different, you know, instead of going to the place I know about. So in my case, it's my dad. Like, he'll just be like, let's go check out this other stream I heard about. I don't know anything about it, you know. And I'll kind of I'll humor him, and often we find some really cool stuff, you know, that I definitely would not have done. So
yeah,
I love, you know, when someone kind of forces me to do that. But it is easy to get stuck in a rut. And I remember when I started Tenkara, I was kind of stuck in a rut going to these limestone streams and ignoring all the mountain streams. So Tenkara kind of got me back to those little mountain streams that I had ignored for years, you know. And then
yeah.
now it's kind of gone the other way. I kind of got like stuck going to those streams, and now I'm kind of having fun going back to the limestone streams just for some variety, you know. So we're up near we went past our time limit. So I guess I would just like to say thank you for chatting with me today, Jason. I really appreciate it. And
Yeah, anytime, buddy.
just before we sign off, I just want, do you have any last things you'd like to say?
No, I think you know, anyone who's watching this is already in Tangara. So just stay steadfast and don't let anyone shake your confidence in it. Fish your own fishing style.